You're watching TSN, the sports network, home of the Vanier Cup.
What a race weekend. Like so many others, and yet like no other. The familiar crowds, everyone seeking an autograph, an endless chain of ceremonies, the occasional special dedication. And finally, the big race itself, starring the King, Richard Petty. November 15th, 1992, Richard saddled up old number 43 for the 1185th time. But this time, it's different. The career that spanned generations ends here. Imagine the memories this last time in the cockpit that was his sanctuary from the crowds and the cameras. And now memories are all that remain. Spectacular to the end, Richard's exit scene was a fireworks display. But they fixed his car after this big crash, and he took that final checker. The thud in mid-race and the fire that followed were not enough to keep the King from ending his day in style. If indeed life is a canvas we fill with our own brush, then Richard Petty is a Rembrandt among racers. His life story, an intricate and colorful masterpiece. Its title, very simple. Portrait of a King.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. We welcome you. It is now official. Richard Petty's career as a driver is over. He is the only man in sport whose retirement could have created all the fuss that we've seen here today and indeed all season long. The phenomenon begs for comparison. I'm reminded of Jabbar's last campaign, all those emotional tributes in arenas that he played for the final time. But there's a big difference. Basketball was there before Kareem hit the boards. Stock car racing is entirely a product of Richard Petty's lifetime. From the motorized backwoods brawls that lured his daddy to the current love affair with the Fortune 500, Richard has lived and breathed the creation of the sport. He is its biggest star, indeed its embodiment. And having given us so much, now he's given us the Fan Appreciation Tour.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you.
We have reached the end of Richard Petty's driving career. Our racing masterpiece we'll admire in detail when
Rolling me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead till life won't pass me by.
Today, we thank you the best way we can as we dedicate this portion of US 220 to you and publicly mark your achievements.
I never started out to set records, never thought about setting records. I just went out and did what I wanted to do and was real fortunate to be able to do what I did. And in the meantime, the records came along.
All right, Richard, I'll buy that. You didn't set out to rewrite the stock car record book. It just happened that way. But those records are important here because they are the milestones. And one by one, they mark the path that Richard traveled from gangly North Carolina kid to the king of stock car racing to something more than that. Let's go to John Kernan in our nation's capital.
Here in Washington, D.C., where this museum, the Smithsonian, houses some of our country's greatest milestones, Richard is also included, along with pieces of Americana that have helped shape our nation's history. As the car that accomplished win number 200 back in 1984 sits quietly in this hall, its presence here truly puts into perspective the enormity of Richard's achievements.
Richard recorded his first historic achievement back in May 1967 as he notched career win number 55, bypassing his father's record of 54. Not even a famed Darlington stripe could stop Richard from cashing in the money that day, although his father Lee was there in victory lane to help him pick up the check. But the victory celebration was far from over that season. Teaming with brother Maurice, the Petty boys ran off with an unbelievable 27 wins that year, including 10 in a row. Records that still stand today and likely will never be challenged.
That particular record of 27 wins in, 47 races or 46 races, whatever we run, they don't run that many races now. You know, some of the records and stuff that might be completely out of the realm of possibility because the circumstances now and the system is so much different than what it was when I came through.
As the 60s came to a close, America focused on the unknowns of space exploration as man walked on the moon. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, Richard Petty was exploring his own uncharted territory, picking up career win number 100.
In Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 1969, quarter-mile flat asphalt track around the football field.
As the years passed, Petty continued his exploration of the unknown, logging his 100,000th mile in 1972 in Ontario. And some 11 years later, a young cable network got a thrill of its own, covering a little bit of history. Bob Jenkins makes the call.
Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, looking for his first win onto the Tri-Oval. Still, Richard Petty leads the way as we have 2 laps to go. This is the final lap at Rockingham, less than a mile to go. Here they come toward the 4th turn, and the start-finish line coming up. Bill Elliott will make one desperate attempt as he goes to the inside. Richard Petty holds him off, and Richard Petty picks up a victory at Rockingham, North Carolina Motor Speedway, his first since 1981, and the crowd celebrates with King Richard. It's been a long time since he was in victory lane, and ESPN has brought you his victory live this afternoon.
It was emotional for me. I told them I was glad I had my sunglasses on where they couldn't see how emotional I got. But when your daughters do something like that in front of all the people, and like I say, it's thousands start, that was a big, another one of our big days.
It's Richard Petty. He revs up the STP Pontiac. Yarborough hounding him. It's just nose to tail on the back straightaway.
Up ahead, 5 slower cars as they move for turn number 3. Yarborough now dives to the inside, tries to get inside the STP Pontiac. He's not there. Now he is up beside Richard Petty as they hit turn 3.
Yarborough down low. Petty's up the banking. Yarborough pulls up in front of him. Petty right up on his bumper, points his nose down inside. They race back to the checkers. A lap car ahead. Petty right down to the apron. They're side by side.
Richard drafts down to the bottom of the racetrack. They are door to door in the dog leg. They touch coming to the Tri-Oval down to the line. It's Richard Petty by a foot. Petty wins his 200th career NASCAR victory.
The only record I ever really wanted was the 200th one, and that when I got it, I couldn't do no more. But that was the only one that I really tried to get.
Richard Petty really is one of our country's great pioneers, truly deserving of his place in American history.
If I set a goal and got to it, I didn't set it high enough, and then if I set one and never did get it, then I was always going to be disappointed. But I always looked at the situation of saying, you know, let's just do better today than we did yesterday, and I always felt like we'd go forward that way.